We're on the 9th fairway of the Needham golf course, and when I say I grew up on the golf course, I literally grew up on the golf course. We come down the 9th fairway and we catch fish and frogs in this little brook right here, when we called it the brook because we lacked imagination and couldn't sell the naming rights. But we used to just hang out down here. We'd spend hours down here, and there was this water actually came from the ponds over in the golf course, and it was a safe little hamlet. It wasn't too close to the golfers, but we'd run around there, which I wouldn't recommend. I got hit by a golf ball once, and it hurt. So growing up, there was a well-worn path through these woods, and this was kind of a no man's land. You know, you would see the White brothers, Dennis Marr, Rob Willis, the Riley brothers, assorted vagabonds of the Needham community. But we'd walk down here, and this actually cut us through. To the back of the Needham Reservoir. Now, as you travel around Needham, there's all sorts of little seams and cut-throughs and paths that kids used. And you can still find remnants of years ago, and some are still used. This one not so much. I think it's probably more deer than people that walk through here. This over here was all non-navigational swampland. And interestingly enough, you can kind of tell the year that somebody was here by the brand of beer and soda cans. I mean, when we were kids, we found beer cans from the 50s. I mean, I graduated Needham in 1981, but you would find old Dawson cans, Paps, what have you. Billy Brady had a collection. Again, not what I would recommend for your kids to collect, especially in middle school, but that's what we did. So this enclosure right here used to have a pump house inside it. You know, you can still see there's a foundation there of a well, and that's going to be filled in once they put the path here. But we'd cut right through here. And this path went right around the reservoir. Now down there would bring you to the backside of Livingston Circle, and this ropes all the way around to the front where the DPW is. So if you look back here, I don't know if you can really see it, but the back of the reservoir, not really great skating. I wouldn't recommend it back here. There's moving water that cuts through from that stream that I showed you before, Actually meanders through the woods. Comes through here. This is all water, 30-40 years ago. It's been slowly dwindling to just a stream. Then the stream goes underneath, comes out here, and again, that's the back of the reservoir. So the skating up front, don't come back here. I can still remember the horror when I was a kid when I saw them put in this practice range, which is part of the golf course, but I always felt it was mine. So they didn't confer with me. But on the back side there's blackberries, and you can see hummingbirds in the summer. This has always been filled with these kind of thorns. That's tough to navigate. I actually worked with Billy Brady on his Eagle Scout project in the South Street Woods, mitigating that stuff. That's kind of a pain to work with, but part of the path, I think they're considering cutting right through there. So off to the right, during the spring, it gets kind of wet in there. You can find some leopard frogs, various creatures hopping and crawling through there. Actually kind of a cool little biome down here. You've seen that water right there. Check it in the spring and you can find toads and frogs laying their eggs down here. This right here is the second enclosure. This is what we refer to as the first pump house. And there was a pump house here also, probably up until about the mid-70s. But if you ever wondered why there was an enclosure in the middle of the woods, now you know why. There's all various little streams and cut-throughs and wetlands back here. This water actually is the same stream that cuts through the across the 9th fairway at the bottom of the hill off the tee on the golf course. There was a tree here when we were kids that broke in half, and we found a tarp and some other kindred stuff, threw it on top of there, and made it into a little fort. It's actually kind of cool. So you can see some more invasive thorn stuff. You don't want to get caught up in that. And this was just these, if you look at these grass humps right here, this was filled with those, and there was water all the way through here. There was a lot of water snakes through here. But you see over the years it's dried out. And this is another stream that cuts through. And if you look down, you can see all the markings from the Conservation Commission saying this is where the defined path is going to be if they decide to build it. But it's a nice little walk. It's I would say 4, maybe 5 years old would be the requisite age. There's some roots. It's a little like this right here would be a perfect example. It'd be a little tough for a stroller, but hopefully they'll get that straightened out. But it's a good little take. It's one of those little hidden corners of Needham that you don't really know existed. I was at a medical talk down in Houston, and the head of cardiology for Baylor University was talking about how he used to skate on the Needham Reservoir, and if he hurt his ankle, they just filled his boot with snow and he walked home. And I talked to him later on. He grew up on Livingston Circle. So we'll get you a more in-depth tour, but you can actually walk. There's a whole, it's dry enough back there where you can walk and you can explore. You know, maybe 7, 8 years old would probably be the right age, or if you had, you know, if it was one adult and one 5 or 6 year old would be cool. But there's a lot to be said, a lot to be seen, I should say. We're kind of in the dead of winter right now, but it's there's no real foliage, so you can actually see your way around. So if you scope it out and then come back in the spring, I think you'd be surprised at what you see. And we're coming up in the back of the DPW. That's the beeping that you hear, and they're prepping for the weekend. There's supposed to be a storm. And this brings you around to the front of the reservoir. The weekends there's usually places to park. You can skate down here. I don't know if they're skating this weekend, but you can check the I think the Needham Rec website keeps track of that stuff. And we're back. So it's a little iced over right now, but you can see herons and duck and geese and baffleheads and all sorts of migrating birds that come in and out of here. But trust me, come springtime, it's a beautiful place to hang out. So this is Needham, and this is where I grew up.